Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So let's get started on this tutorial. I am going to be priming my face using the Cover FX Illuminating Primer base, and I'm going to be smoothing this over my entire face before going in with foundation. This is a hydrating and illuminating primer, but it's not glittery in case you're worried about that. For foundation, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Stick Foundation in Warm Ivory, and I'm actually going to be mixing it just for a little bit more coverage and easier blendability with the NYX Total Control drops. I am using the drops in the shade 05 Light, and I like combining these two. I actually like combining the drops with a lot of my foundations because it does add more coverage, and it leaves like a nice soft finish, which is not dewy nor too matte. I am then going to be blending everything out. I am using my Morphe brush in MB8 and kind of just going in circular motions and buffing everything out. These foundations together and with a brush aren't streaky, but if you're afraid of any streaks, they should blend out just as easily and well with a beauty blender. For contouring and highlighting, I didn't show you guys my map because you guys have seen me do it so many times before, but I'm using the LA Girl Pro Concealer and Beautiful Bronze to contour, and I'm going to be using that same brush I used to buff out my foundation. And I do this because it has a little bit of leftover foundation, so in case it's too much product or too dark, the foundation that's still left on my brush will help kind of melt it into my skin a little bit better so it's not so harsh. And this was actually, it ended up being more of like a bronzing type of deal, like a cream bronzer than a contour, because you'll see in a little bit why that is. Then for my concealer, I did something a little bit different. I'm not used to this, but I decided to use a brush to blend everything out. This is the Morphe M512, and I am just kind of patting it down into the contour, into my foundation. And I then took a smaller version of that brush, which is the Morphe M517, and I'm breaking up my nose contour, focusing on just kind of deepening the shade in my eye socket, which I like to do. I personally like that look. You don't have to if you don't want to. And then breaking up the product on the tip of my nose, and then on the side of my nose by going up and down to warm it up, and then down the sides to help blend in that contour. I felt like I put too much product on my nose. We have our good days, we have our bad days. Today was a bad day for me. So in order to correct that, because there's always a way to correct your mistakes, I took the original brush I used to blend out my concealer and the foundation brush just to tone down the nose contour. So that really helps in case you're ever in that pickle. For setting everything, we're going with a light set today, so it's more of a natural finish. I'm using the Tarte Park Avenue Princess highlighting and contouring palette, and I'm just setting underneath my eye area. Really, that's the only place I set. I'm using my Morphe M529 brush to do this. I like to press on the powder so I get a nice set and no streaks. And then this is why I'm saying that the cream ended up being more like a bronzer, because I'm using a shade from the palette and a Marc Jacobs blush brush to help deepen up the contour just a little bit. It needed more of like a cool tone to it. The other one was a little too bronzy for me, so this kind of helped even it out, and it just deepened up the contour, made it a little bit sharper. I'm also sharpening up my nose as well with my favorite brush to do so, which is the R8 from Morphe. You guys have seen me use this brush time and time again. I have yet to find something else that I like. Oh my gosh, all my brushes are falling. Next, I'm highlighting. I am using the Anastasia Moonchild palette. I'm using the shade Clover, I think it's Clover, right? Or Lucky Clover, to highlight. It's more of like that green tint, although I don't think it's too green. I think it complemented this look really well. As you can see, there's not a huge shift of green in the color. I am highlighting with my normal brush, which is the Morphe R36, and taking this on the tops of my cheekbones, down my chin, and whatever's left on my brush on my forehead to get a nice gloss going. Then I'm using my fingertips to highlight my Cupid's bow, just so I can have more control over the amount I put on there, and a small brush and my fingertip again to kind of break up the product on my nose. For blush, I'm using the Balm Cosmetics Down Boy blush, which is just a light matte pink, and I'm taking this on my Morphe. What brush is this? This was in my last video. I don't have the name of it right now, but I'll be sure to list it down below. It's the one I've been using constantly. I'm then taking a little bit of my NARS Laguna bronzer just to warm up and give a little bit more of a bronzy glow to the look. For lips, I'm using the NYX Lingerie in the shade Black Book. I've used these before. For some reason, this shade gave my lips like a rash of some sort. I don't know if it was just the color, but that's never happened to me before with the other colors that I've used, so just watch out for that in case you're wondering. For this eye look, we're using the Colourpop My Little Pony palette, which is such a cute, colorful palette. Something kind of different than what I normally own. This shade is Applejack. It's a lot more pink than it looks in the palette. And I'm using this on a Morphe M502 and just gradually building this up and buffing it in my crease from inner corner to outer corner. We're deepening this shade with Flutterby, and we're using the same brush and just again really making sure I concentrate that color on the inner socket, since we're going to do this kind of like not cut crease, but if you can kind of see my other eye, like the orangey yellow that I have on there really pops. So it helps when you have like a really dark shaded inner corner and outer corner to get that contrast when we kind of cut the eye later on. Then to make this really purple, we're using Sky Dancer. These are all matte shades, by the way. The crease is all matte. Once that is built up, I'm taking a clean blending brush and just melting these all together. Since they're all pink tones, it can get lost a little bit. So just to make sure you have a nice gradual effect, you might want to take a clean brush to blend it up. To cut the crease or clean it up, I should say, I'm using some concealer. I'm using my Tarte Tape Shape because it's super full coverage. And I'm using this flat rounded tip brush from e.l.f. and this does all the work for you if you use a rounded brush like this that's flat, because all I'm literally doing is just pressing this against my eyelid and just kind of following a line basically, and it cleans up your lid really nicely and leaves it sharp. But like I said, if you wanted to leave it like super cut, you could do this and then just leave it as is. But since I didn't want it like a super sharp cut crease, with the shade Blossom, I'm using this on a shader brush and I'm doing this like wiggling, like rubbing back and forth along the edge of that concealer where it meets the pink shadow to create like a softer crease, if that makes sense. I'm then taking the shade Sky Dancer on a pencil brush and just buffing this all out on my lower lash line, and then taking a clean pencil brush to just further blend it out. I'm then using my Kat Von D tattoo liner to create my wing. This is how I do it. I like to just kind of draw the base first and then draw it back to the center of my eyelid and fill it in. And then from there, I make any adjustments. If I want the wing to be thicker, I will go back and make it thicker or longer, whatever it may be. And then I'll go in and connect it from the beginning of my eyelid or the beginning of my tear duct all the way back to the wing. I'm then using my Marc Jacobs mascara to just coat my upper lashes before I pop on my falsies. I've been doing this lately because I like to give a little bit more of like a sturdier landing strip, if you will, to my lashes before going in with falsies. And then of course hitting those bottom lashes because it's like super important. I'm then highlighting my inner corner and brow bone, and then my lashes are from Enchanting Eyes. These are the style Mesmerized, and this is the completed look. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.